Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Thank you very much for
Bah.
joining us this evening. I am your MC, Scooby331, and as always, I have with me a panel of very interesting characters. Some of them you're familiar with, some of them you're not. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run through who I have here with me right now, and we're going to see who's who and what's what. Now remember, please pay attention to the screen because the people I read off on my end do not match who you see on your end. So you have to pay attention or you're going to get confused later. So starting off on my left, we have with us tonight, of course, a young man who's been on here a bunch of times before. His experience in life beguiles his age. He's actually an old soul in a young frame. Time to speak. What's happening, brother? How are you?
Hey everybody, I'm back after like 2 months. I'm not filibustering my way into Mexico like 6, but I'm here.
That's great. I'm glad to have you back, kid. I really am. And of course, he has to always be the sharpest guy on the stream. He just really has to. And you can tell by the new OBS setup he has going on. We got Irving Twin with us tonight. What's happening, man?
How you doing? I'm the angry drunk Canadian, looking for other angry Canadians with whom to share the airwaves. I got a couple on the line. So does my buddy Craig Bragg. Check him out. Yeah.
All right, very cool. Very cool. And of course, we have with us tonight a gentleman who needs no introduction to those of you who are familiar with the stream at this point. We have with us Nano Reaper. He is, of course, keeping the airwaves safe wherever he is. And of course, wherever he is his own damn business and not yours. If you want to know more about the man, I suggest you tune into this show because this is where he's at. Nano, what's happening, brother?
Not much, man. Just trying to enjoy my weekend.
Hell yeah. Exactly. That's all it comes down to. Gotta enjoy it. And of course, we have with us, as always, the lovely Tara Sin. Tara, how are you?
I'm tired, I'm driving, and I can't wait to get back to the house.
Well,
I feel like utter shit.
Well, I hope that we're able to make you feel better. You know, that's why we're here. Just think of us as like medicine for your soul. And lastly, we have... Sorry.
Alcohol.
I was just gonna say, well, yeah, I've got my cookie dough.
I was just about to say something cookie dough somewhere along the stream, but I'm like, you got there first.
Yeah, of course. Now that we got that out of the way. And lastly, we have with us tonight a gentleman I have had the pleasure. He is one of the first people I've ever streamed with. The only other person I've probably been streaming with as long tonight, that's on the stream tonight, rather, I should say, is Irv. But of course, when I first started streaming with Chaos, this gentleman was there. We have with us tonight the one-ton Hammer. It's been a long time, Hammer. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it has been a long time. It's nice to be on the stream with you again, Scoop.
Yeah, it
Hello,
really
everybody.
is. You know, we don't get to do this a lot, and that is actually a shame. I wish the scheduling was better, but hopefully now in the future it's something I can rectify.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd like to hear, guys, has anything gone on with you lately? Anything you want to talk about right now, before we get into it? Just because it's been a while, and, I'm sure the audience wants to hear how you guys are doing, and I'm curious too. So what is up?
I had something weird going on with me. It just happened today. And it's kind of a technical issue. It's not, a political issue or anything like that. But I subscribe to a couple people. One of the people I subscribe to is your boy Pat. You probably know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure everyone knows who Shoe on Head is, right?
Yeah.
Well, I looked in my feed today under my subscriptions, and there is a video in my subscription feed from a person called I'm Psycho. And it's a video about how they hate Shoe on Head.
She seems to have a specific group that
am-
doesn't really like her.
I am not subscribed to I'm Psycho, yet he shows up on my subscription list.
Yeah, that
You should maybe check your subscription list, because I noticed something taking a gander. You know how people have been complaining, oh, I'm automatically unsubbed from these people that I follow and I don't know why? I looked through my sub list and realized I was automatically subbed to a bunch of shit that I never subscribed to.
God damn it.
Yeah, that happens a lot, actually.
Yeah, I've had to go through and deal with stuff before.
Well, my sub list is on the left-hand side in alphabetical order, and the only person I'm subscribed to that begins with I is Inquisitor. You guys know who he is.
Yeah. I sent him a link, actually. I wanted to see if he was around.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I actually have my sub list sorted on the left hand side, and he's the only person I'm sub to that has an I. So this guy, this thing that showed up on my screen, actually says I''M psycho. So it's not like it's misspelled or anything like that. It's definitely I'm psycho. Yet I look at my sub list, and the only person who's in my sub list who begins with I is Inquisitor. I can't explain it. And I checked with everybody in the minions. No one else has this problem. It's just me.
It's okay.
Well, I know every time I go and turn on YouTube, I'm actually it brings up everyone I watch, and they're like, okay, would you like to subscribe to this person? I'm like, yep. Okay, it's another day that ends in Y, so I have to resubscribe to everybody.
I've never lost a subscription, and this is the first time I've been giving that a subscription is showing up that I never subscribed to. It's the opposite of what everyone else says is the problem. Everyone else says I keep losing subscriptions. I'm getting them.
Yeah. Every morning, like, I get up and I look. I'm like, okay, I got to resubscribe to the Rageaholic. Okay, I got to resubscribe to Styx. Okay, I got to resubscribe to.
I've never lost a subscription, not once.
Huh. I don't know. I guess maybe because I engage in their comment section is what it is. That must be. Who knows?
Yeah, they could manually unsubscribe you. I don't know.
I'm sure. I tend to be a bit of a prick in the comment section, so I mean, Styx actually has me blocked, so I can't go into his comment section anymore and spread good cheer and mirth. So it is what it is.
You're saying odd things in your comment section. It's okay. I went on my Google Play Store yesterday, and then my recommended for you was My Cat Girlfriend. I'm like, okay, no, go away. Fuck you. Also, how's the pop filter? I just threw on my other pop filter because I figured I might as well not be assaulting you with peas.
Yeah, it's funny. Before I even started streaming, I had like 27 subscribers just from the shit that I used to say in comments. Granted, that took me 10 years to build up, though. You know. So yeah, I used to come on here when it was, there was like actually a limit to how big you could post. I think it was like the same as Twitter when YouTube first started. So I think you only allowed something like 180 characters, so you had to be really witty and quick. So now it's great. I could sit here and write a novel to people. Yeah. Kind of took the fun out of it. That's part of the reason I stopped shit posting after a while. You know, like, okay, this is too easy. You know, the limit actually made it a challenge. So let me see.
That's the weird thing that happened to me today.
What?
So that's the weird thing that happened to me today. It's still there. I can't get rid of it unless I hide it. I haven't tried doing that yet.
You know, do me a favor. Send me that link in the DMs. I want to look at it later. I'm curious now.
Am I in your Discord? Where's your Discord at?
The thing I just contacted you with. Actually, yeah, I'll send you.
Right. I'll send it to your private. That's fine. I'll do it right now.
Yeah. I was gonna say. Actually, I have to invite you. I think I sent you an invite to Discord like months ago. I got to send you a new one. That one expired.
Okay.
Yeah.
We lost her.
So, if it's someone that's not a dick, I usually just give them a permanent one. Also, I need to tighten my mic.
Yeah.
I don't have my multi-tool on me. God damn it.
Yeah. Now Tara will hop back in a minute. She she probably went from the car to the house, so she's gonna hop on the laptop. You know, that's usually what she does. But yeah, you know, the what you call it? Fuck, I lost my whole train of thought. What I was saying when she hopped out, I was like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, the Discord. I gotta send you the new link to that. Yeah, I had set permanent links, but then I had to get rid of them because some jack off I'd thrown out months ago, he just showed up out of nowhere and he was talking to me. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? Yeah, the link was still good. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, no more link.
Once again. Goodbye once again.
Yeah. Like, you know, I did try to humor the guy. I'm like, what the hell do you want? Because, you know, I'm usually cool with everybody. Like, I'm patient. But this guy was a full-blown whack of fucking do. You know, he was like really out there. You know, I hate saying this, but he was a flat earther. And
they're always fun to toy with.
Yeah, no, but this guy was like dead serious. And like he had talked to me like a few times. He's like, you know, I want to do an interview with you and this, that, and the third. I'm like, yeah, all right, man, I'll talk to you. you know, and I talked to the guy, and the problem was he was just so fucking bizarre. So I'm like, okay, that's it. I killed all my old links, you know, so now all my old links are in. Because I'm like, where the hell did you get this link from? And he's like, so and so gave it to me. So I hit the guy up. I'm like, what the hell did you give that guy the link? He's like, oh, who, the nut? I go, yeah, what the hell did you give that nut my friggin' link for? He's like, oh, I figured he's harmless. I'm like, he doesn't shut up. Like, you know what the problem was? He would start sending me maps and shit and charts and things, and he wanted me to review things.
Harmless doesn't mean welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, so I said, okay, I blocked him, I threw him at the Discord, and hopefully he doesn't show back up again. So I had to go and, like, systematically kill every link I had. Because, you know, this guy just shows up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Because I woke up to it, and it's like, you have 48 messages.
Jesus Christ.
Right? And I'm looking, I'm like, what the hell are all these messages? And I open it up, and
Sure,
it's about...
like side chick or something?
No, yeah, right. He sent me these videos about New Swabia, about the Hollow Earth, and about Antarctica.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah. So I'm sitting.
That's the first thing you send to someone.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here and I'm looking at half of the shit that he sent to me, and as soon as it got to the red-headed giants that the Hopi Indians had in their caves, I'm like, okay, block.
Like the dog people that some random saint saw towards the Middle East.
Yeah.
When they were near Persia and there was dog people in the middle of the Mediterranean or some shit like that. I don't remember the exact tale, but it's like, oh, this dog, they turned into dogs when it's warfare, and people took that as, oh, they're werewolves. Not that, like, I don't know. It's like
it was the term the dogs of war. And the way it got translated, I know what you're talking about. It's kind of like how they sent. I think the guy was American. He was an American journalist, and he was covering about Mars. And the Italian word that they used was canelli. And so this guy, for whatever reason, he was talking about the riverbeds, and the American journalist put down that they were channels, meaning that they were like artificially made. So there was like a good period of time there where everyone thought that they were channels that had been dug on Mars. And I remember this was something they had to debunk when I was in grade school, because people for years thought there was like artificially made channels on Mars because this guy didn't know how to translate properly.
Well, and also they didn't have actual good views of Mars until the 20th century. So
yeah, I think this was like oh god, when did this happen? Like 1920 maybe. That's when they first were getting the good views. That's what I'm saying. Like, and it was just lazy Americanism again. You know, that's one of the things, as somebody who like went to school for education, it drives me nuts. We have such potential for education in this country, and people don't apply themselves. Like, the guy, literally, all he had to do was take the book that his newspaper provided for him, open it up, and translate the word. He couldn't even be bothered.
Well, that was under Woodrow Wilson, so I have many.
Yeah.
If you don't know, he's my least favorite president for many reasons.
Yeah.
Let's invade communist Russia and then just leave our men there and not really support them or supply them, and have them work with Russians that really don't want them in Russia. Hey, let's make Jim Crow a thing and fuck over. Just undo Reconstruction. There's a lot of things, and I don't feel like going into a long rant about Wilson.
Yeah.
I've done it way too many times before.
Believe it or not, one of my favorite presidents is actually a Democrat. Polk. People are always shocked when they hear me say that, but Polk, because in his 4 years, he did more than most other presidents do in 8. And it's funny, he only went in for 1 term, finished his term, and I'm pretty sure 30 days later he was dead. So that says a lot. That's dedication right there. But
I know the fun thing you always have to watch out with years, because I believe Wilson was a Democrat back when Democrat basically meant like hard right.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
he was basically one step from being a Klansman, that man.
He was the first American. Remember, he was the founder of the American Progressive Movement. So that's
and he
where
also showed fucking Birth of a Nation in the White House and basically sparked the second Ku Klux Klan upbringing.
Well, I mean, he was a shitty president, and well, he was from Augusta. He was from Augusta, Georgia. So there's nothing good that comes from Augusta, Georgia. So.
You know, it's funny though, since we're speaking about presidents. I had just watched Styx earlier. He threw up a video. Apparently, we're the #1 producer of oil again in the world.
Yeah, we're actually an energy exporter now.
Yeah.
Why am I not surprised when you get rid of a bunch of useless regulations?
Yeah. We're #1 now for oil. We're #1 for coal and gas. Thank you. Yeah, natural gas. We're #1 again for all three of those. You know what the sad thing is now? I had this talk actually. I think it was about maybe a month or two ago with Liberal Sanity Project, and me and him were talking about it. And he was upset because they curtailed a lot of the regulations. And I just thank God for my background working with the, you know, my father worked in the 282 for years, and that's where I got injured, was working in a Teamster shop. And the thing of it is, they have safety protocols you have to ship something. So you have to have it already up to snuff just to get it in the packaging in the container. Then you have to get it to where it's the truck, the shipping company that takes it, they have to make sure everything is up to snuff. Now, both of these people have to agree that everything meets the stipulations put on by the DOT. Now, that's just the standard regulations that were in place before Obama decided he was going to get all happy with the regulations. They added so much other redundancies. That's why the cost was going up, because you had to sit there and quadruple check everything before you could put it on the damn truck.
Yeah, and it was BS stuff. Like, you have to. Well, not only that, especially with like petroleum, it was like you have to do a environmental study, then another environmental study, and then an environmental study about the turtles that nobody gives a shit about. And if there's like one indigenous endangered turtle for like 10,000 miles away, then you can't drill.
Yeah.
So ban tires.
I like the turtles,
especially
especially when they're Ninja Turtles.
Okay, that's fantasy, not reality.
Prove it.
The thing of it is, and this is the thing that always drove me nuts, like this, what happened with the farming industry down in California. A lot of people forget what happened in California. It's when Obama first got in, that crazy bitch Pelosi. She took away their irrigation rights because their aqueducts were interfering with the piping plovers. I remember this because they said it on the news. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. She took away their water because it was interfering with the migration patterns of the piping plovers. And that's the reason we started getting all that half-assed fruit from South America. I think, personally, I don't trust the Democrats. I think they just use that as an excuse, and they cut a deal with them South American farmers. But
let's get a filibustering in, boys.
Yeah, but that's part of the problem. That's why for the last 8 years plus, that every freaking summer, or California's had massive water shortages.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And they want to secede, and if they secede, since they get most of their freaking water from the Hoover Dam, you could literally cut off their water supply.
Yeah,
and then all the industry would leave regardless, because fuck tariffs.
And also, they do not produce enough power. They get 70% of their power from out of state,
isn't it?
Yeah, and I get to see Arizona cutting off the damn power and laughing.
You know, the sad thing is with them, if they leave, they're basically going to become like a vassal state.
And like a puppet.
Yeah.
And then they always brag about their port numbers. Texas alone exceeds the entire West Coast port numbers.
Yeah.
So we're not even talking about like New Orleans, Savannah, Charleston, New York, New Jersey. Basically, get it. The only people who are impressed by California's port numbers are Californians.
Yeah. The only reason they even have a shipping industry over there on the West Coast in general, I hate to say it, is because you have the Arab Emirates, you have the Koreans, you have the Japanese and the Chinese. It's just cheaper for them to ship across the Pacific. Like, seriously, that's the...
No, most of your petroleum is actually handled on the Gulf Coast. It comes in because it comes into the refineries in Baytown.
Well, I'm talking about the other stuff that they ship out, just the container ships in general. Not even
goods
talking
and
like the
whatnot.
tankers. Like that's the thing. Even like, yeah, I don't even think you're right. They don't even get any business from the Middle East, do they? California.
Well, there's no real priority there.
Jesus, what
And
the
you
hell
have to
do
go
they
right
do over
past,
there?
go past the hellhole that is Yemen towards the hellhole that is Somalia, or go out. Let's see. Well, it'd probably just be smarter to go in through the Suez and take the other way around.
They can't go through the Suez.
Yeah.
The Supermax, the very large crude containers, and ultra large crude container ships are too big. The Suez is used by cruise ships. No serious freighter will touch the Suez Canal because it's just not worth it.
Fair enough. My thing is always CAF standards. Though you're saying that, I'm like, well, you want to put more emissions on cars, ban tires, ban cars from driving, because the much that you save by like strangling an engine, like we're not at 70s levels yet, but we're trying to get there.
Well, California is. California.
That just don't talk about them if you want to talk about cars. You go to California to drive. You don't live in California if you like cars. If you like cars, you drive in California. But
I like cars, and I would be like, I think I'll just drive my freaking diesel pickup truck to California.
Just drive that around the canyons. No,
Coal,
but that's my
every last
friend
one of them.
across state in Nevada, and he basically goes into California just to drive. But no, the majority of the emissions, like stuff, they're strangling that. But really, a lot of it's from tire degradation. Like that just slowly getting weared down and put into suspension and just resuspending the stuff that's already on the ground. That's where you're getting a lot of your pollution. It's not so much even the engines at this point. It's not like well, unless you're Mr. Straight Pipe, but that you're not really supposed to do. And your neighborhood will hate you. There was some guy tearing ass when I was at the park because I decided to go for a quick run because I wasn't feeling well. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for a run. That'll make everything better. But yeah, there was some guy laying into it. I was waiting to hear something because it was not a good sound of him when he was hitting red line. Like something sounded off. I was waiting to hear
like he was using
about to blow a head gasket or something. I don't know.
Well, like he was using his clutch but didn't know how to use one.
No, that's usually everybody else. This guy sounded like he was using a paddle shifting and probably not a very good, or it might have been a stick shifter, like I forgot what they call them. I usually just call them manumatics. The ones that you can actually shift your gears, like my one car has that.
Oh, I know the ones you're talking about. It's
that you can flip it to the side and then go gears manually.
Yeah, it's a his and hers, right?
Yeah, whatever you'd call it. I call them manumatics. I think some people, VW calls them something with an S because they're different.
But they used to call it back in the day. They used to call that a his and hers, where you could switch between manual and automatic. It was a lot of money, but it was literally because you get the nice car, but then like you want, for whatever reason, your wife has to drive the thing, and you don't want her blowing out the transmission. So
well, fuck you. I drive better than a lot of the guys I know can turns out stick shift.
For me, it's just if you're in the city, that's not the thing you really want to do is be shifting every 5 goddamn seconds.
Or especially if you're in a fucking hills like in San Francisco. I mean, shit, Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, but usually you get certain, like you can get a brake, like the pre-braking that you won't fall back as much, that you can shift into gear and not slide immediately and hit the car behind you. Hopefully.
Yeah.
There's nice little electronic bits and all the nonsense they put in the cars nowadays.
Yeah.
Still be nice if my A pillar did not completely block the entire next lane next to me.
Oh, so you must have a Toyota FJ.
No, I have a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Its C pillars are the size of an FJ's A pillar. The C pillars are a nightmare. It's a 4G Eclipse, so like the last gen before they decided to make it into a crossover. Because fuck you, we hate our heritage.
Yeah, Mitsubishi. Any car they have that's stolen, they get rid of. The 3000 GT, the Lancer
I actually saw a
Evolution.
guy with a VR4 going around the other day because there's a certain hills well, it's not exactly in the best condition with the way we had this rain, but like 2 weeks ago there was some guy in the hills with that. I always bump into some guy with an FD or RX-7, sorry.
Yeah.
That he's always going on those hills. I like rotaries, but you feel like you should have a special star.
Lamborghini has decided to make a fucking
the crossover 600 horsepower. That's like abomination.
Yeah, the
Uric.
Uric or whatever it is.
Yeah, it has some stupid ass name.
I mean, you know,
doesn't Porsche do the same thing?
Actually,
Urus, that's what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I liked the LM202, but you know, that's just because it looks like a fucking Jeep.
Yeah, the old Hummer one. Didn't that have? Yeah, that's the engine they used for the old Snake. You know, the ones that you just decapitate yourself with, right? The same V10.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, Scoob, can I get a wrench? I want to post a link for Jean-Pierre Poloneff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Like I say, I don't have it open in front of me. Tara, do you think you could hook him up with a wrench for me?
I can't with this when I'm on my account.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me open it up then.
We do have some coal in our state still. It's mostly western, so away from IM. It's still pretty big in that industry. One of my friends that lives... I can't even think of the name of his town, but it's in the middle of nowhere, so they're right near that.
Coal is the second largest energy source in the U.S. Primary energy for generation for the United States is natural gas. Petroleum is third, nuclear is fourth.
We're still good old-fashioned petroleum because we just get that from... Well, we skip around with every company every 5 seconds, but
yeah,
we don't have to worry about that for another few months.
Doesn't Porsche have a crossover? Going back to your...
Everybody has a freaking crossover now.
Yeah, but they have a big
the Jaguar
power.
Decent for some reason.
The thing is, people fell in love with it. They fell in love with the idea of they want the space of a fucking station wagon, and the road handling of a station wagon, but they want but they don't want to look like they're driving a fucking station wagon.
Yeah, it's just kind of your mid-abomination hybrid that you don't want because it's not good at what it's one part and it's not good at its other part and it's definitely not good at the third part if they want it to be a sports car. Beamers and Mercedes, sports coupe, SUV crossover abominations that I don't remember the name, the GLR or something like that.
Whatever. Oh, Scooby, you were going to tell us about Cuomo today. And he is away for a second.
Yeah, his computer's really fucking slow. I got to mess with it this past weekend, and I'm just like, why do you have a toy?
Sell my broken ass one. That used to skip out on me. It was a nice computer when it worked reliably.
When it worked.
Sorry, I was actually in the middle of giving Hammer his wrench when you asked me that question about Cuomo. To answer the question, actually, since it's part of the title, the reason I'm actually glad that Cuomo won is because he was going up against that batshit crazy redhead, Cynthia Nixon, the one that used to be on Sex and the City.
Of all things.
And now that he beat her, he's already the governor. And so he's the incumbent, and he's going to be going up against the Republican. And the Republican, who I don't even know who the fuck is running for Republican in my state, but
let's
now
see.
he has a better shot of beating Cuomo than he would have had a better shot of beating Cynthia Nixon. That's why I'm so thrilled that he won. You know? He's a fuck up.
I mean, yeah, and Cynthia Nixon she was one of those resist Democrats, which all through, according to the news, Fox News, were handily defeated in New York.
Yeah.
This time around, because people were just
Larry Sharp is the guy that's running.
People were just sick and tired of listening to the whole. Well, as you know, they were sick and tired of the basically, we're going to take all of your money and give it to other people that don't have a fucking job.
Yeah.
And it's to the point that I believe that not even unions are supporting these guys, and that's not a good sign in fucking New York City.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's what I was saying for a while, and you know, I obviously, people who've heard my rhetoric, they'll know. I've been ripping and roaring and like a maniac over this, and my mother, God bless her, she's an older girl, and she says to me, "Relax. I've seen this before. The minute the money starts getting screwed with, New York will flip." And I was a little nervous because, you know, you go out in the streets now and you got people running past you. They're wearing nothing but fishnets, and they really should be doing that because, oh my God, look at these people. They got the fucking red mohawks and shit. And I'm all like, oh my God, it's the fucking apocalypse in Times Square. And sure enough, the progressives lose because enough is enough. It's starting to affect money because no one, seriously, would you want to take your family from across the country, spend thousands of dollars to come here, and there's some guy pissing on your fucking shoe because I can get away with this? Look at what it's doing to California. They see what the writing's on the wall. They're not stupid here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what ushered in the Giuliani era in New York, and
jaywalking in remembrance.
And then you have the current mayor, who is sitting there trying his hardest to undo the Giuliani era.
Yeah.
De Blasio is unanimously, I don't know who even supports him at this point.
He was another one of these money candidates. That's the thing is.
Oh, and I lied. It's Marcus Molinaro for Republican. For some reason, when you add in Republican, it brings you to Libertarian. Republican.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Larry Sharp, I remember he was the one that's running for Libertarian. He has like a couple of good ideas I really like. I
feel like I've heard of him before. He might have been on whatchamacallit, Stephen Colbert's old show like years ago.
You've heard of him because he ran as vice president with Gary Johnson. He was Gary Johnson's running mate.
Well, that would be it also.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was on the Colbert Report years ago.
He might have been. He might have been. He's been in New York politics for years.
Because I remember he was an interesting personality.
Yeah, he's got actually one or two of his ideas I really liked. Like the one he said was that it is what actually a couple of people around here who know about politics refer to the new Mario Cuomo bridge. Yeah, that bastard. But they refer to the new Mario Cuomo bridge, which used to be the Tappan Zee Bridge. We call it the Imperial Bridge because, you know, the Cuomos think who the hell they are. But he had the idea of, we'll just keep Tappan Zee because it's historical. But just like they do at the stadiums, he said, the Verizon Bridge, the Sprint Bridge, he said, let them pay for it. And I sat there, I'm like, that's actually a great idea. Seriously. It's not like it's going to affect the damn bridge. I don't give a fuck if Verizon wants to, slap their logo on the side of it.
Just rename
fine. That means they'll take care of it. Yeah. I mean, fuck, that means that they're going to come out of pocket to maintain it, so...
Hell, just have someone paint it. Paint it with their, like, Sprint or whatever bullshit, so then they see it for shipping and picturesque pictures of the bay or something. You see Sprint or Verizon on it.
Yeah. I don't...
Real estate.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on air before, but I'm sitting in traffic about... Oh, God, it's got to be well over 12 years ago. And I'm sitting on traffic in some bridge going upstate. The fuck I'm doing going upstate for the life of me, I don't remember. I usually don't like leaving the lower state. You know, I don't like going past Manhattan normally, but for whatever reason, I'm going upstate. And I'm sitting on this bridge, and all of a sudden, the cab in front of me slams on his brakes and puts his hazards on. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Because the traffic in front of him is moving. Now, this is the thing that should have tipped me off, because no one in the lanes next to him tried to dart in front of this guy. So I'm sitting there, and now I'm stuck for a while. And they come up, and they're moving all the traffic past and everything. And so they get this cab to move out of in front of me, and I'm supposed to go next. The cab moves, and my right hand, to God, my knuckles turn so white. I could see the river. You see, what had happened was the panel that was in front of the cab, right after the other cab that was in front of it pulled away, the panel fell out into the river.
Oh,
So,
lovely.
yeah, there was a space about the size of a Ford Econoline van that a car would have just driven, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in the river.
Well,
So,
at least he wasn't. Well, this was probably a couple of years ago, at the very least. You're saying, I assume.
yeah.
Everybody
Yeah,
texting on their phone nowadays. They didn't have a hell of a surprise.
Oh my God, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking to myself, if this would have happened now, that would have been we would have lost at least 6 cars before someone noticed.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing of it is, that's why I'm saying I'm all for Larry's idea about them bridges, because you know damn well Verizon,
Arizona or Outer Bridge at this point.
Yeah, I'm saying, but if like Verizon or Sprint has their name on the side, you know that bridge is going to be maintained. The last the last thing you want to hear about is, you know, like the entire expanse of the Verizon bridge collapsing and killing like 300 people. You know, that's not going to do too well for their cell phone sales. So they'll keep on top.
I could never do, and you could never scoop either because you're huge as well.
What?
People have to go inside those bridges, inside all the tubes and tunnels.
Oh my God, no!
That stuff is just scary to me. That's like no.
The
I'm
tight
not
spaces
claustrophobic, but just the idea of that is just God.
The heights. I cannot stand heights. I fucking hate them. Like there's a video I have up on my channel, and someone actually gave me flack for it because they're like, "Oh, you look really nervous," you know, because you know that you can see because I'm holding the phone and I'm driving over this bridge, and you know you see the phone is jumping. The thing is, the bridge I'm going over is literally a 2-lane bridge, and it's one of the highest bridges in New York. So, and it's right on the bay, and it's where the bay opens up into the ocean. So you have this wind shear. It's actually where they have yacht racing. So, and I was in an Acura, the one that's like a Honda Civic, but you know it's got the leather seats, so it's an Acura. And like literally, I got the one hand on the steering wheel, and I'm holding the phone trying to film, and I had to fight like my grip as I'm holding the wheel because the car was getting pushed that much by the wind shear. Like it was literally just even with one hand on the wheel was actually pushing where I'm like, oh fuck, I had to like lean both of my wrists on top of the wheel to like hold it also because just the wind shear was so severe that day. You know? Yeah. Well, that's why I don't like bridges.
The car weighs 3,400 pounds.
Scooby, did you see Jean-Pierre's question about the bridge that connects Staten Island to New York?
Oh, I'm not watching chat. Sorry, Jean-Pierre. The bridge that connects Staten Island to which part of New York? Staten Island itself.
He said mainland New York.
Okay. That one I wouldn't know because I would be going from like Long Island to mainland New York. Usually, like when we go into Staten Island, we go into Jersey after Staten Island. That's like when you want to cut past all the traffic. You make the turn onto the bridge over, I think it's in Queens, and then you shoot over onto Staten Island, and from Staten Island you shoot into Jersey. And the nickname that we actually have for Staten Island around here is the capital of New Jersey because of how close it is to Jersey.
Yeah, you get a lot of bleed over, and a lot of our family members that live in Staten Island live in New Jersey, so...
Yeah. Yeah, they don't particularly like that when you tell them it's the capital of Jersey.
Well, there's the Bayonne Bridge if you're going into Bayonne, so...
Yeah.
And then there's the Goethals Bridge if you're going into Elizabeth, which I don't think I've ever even been to Elizabeth.
I don't go into Jersey unless it's absolutely necessary. It's actually nothing against the people in Jersey. It's the way their state is laid out.
And you'll be fine.
It's the way their state is laid out. It's the whole no left turns, only one ways. Nah.
Hey, let's add a roundabout everywhere.
Yeah, and a jug handle here or there for good measure. I'm good.
Hey.
I'll take my grid pattern anytime, thank you.
When
But
we venture there, we just go mid-state.
you know, it's funny though, since we are talking about Jersey and the transit
Not
and
like
everything.
Raritan or anything.
I did want to mention, because it is part of the title. I did not get a chance this past week because I was in DC last weekend, and this week specifically because of the rain and the hurricane and all the fun weather that we've been having.
And then the more hurricane soon
Yeah,
enough.
we had a lot of trouble with the trains. So for me to get in and out of Manhattan on 9/11 to go visit the memorials was a real pain in the ass. And then to go around to the local memorials around here and to the various graves, it was really time consuming. I was actually supposed to, if he's watching, Inquisitor, I'm sorry, I did not get a chance to cut those videos for you. It was disgusting, the weather. I'm going to actually go, hopefully before the weather gets too cold, and I'm going to try to get the memorials probably next week, because we're going to be overcast for the rest of this week. But I didn't forget. I was definitely going to try to film that for the Inquisitor. He did ask me. I said, yeah, sure, I'll go, and we get hit with a hurricane. But part of the thing was I had put in the title about 9/11. Just really quick, because I don't want to go over it too much, because obviously the past couple of days, you know, it's been past 3 days, people have been really going over it and rehashing it. For a lot of people who don't know, one of the places I used to work when I was younger, I was the groundskeeper and the dock master over at this beach on Long Island called Gilgo Beach. For those of you who are nerds, yes, it is the same exact Gilgo Beach that was in the pilot episode of Deep Space Nine. And no, I don't know Benjamin Sisko. So anyway,
People that make Gotham, though.
yeah, they are constantly up on my aunt's roof, but that's for another story. But anyway, at that beach, Gilgo Beach, if anyone's ever interested and curious, we here in the neighborhood, not that it's a contest, we lost pretty much per capita the largest amount of people in the 9/11 attacks. Now, obviously, people are going to start to crunch these numbers, and then they're going to say, well, Scooby, there was this one ladder company that lost more firemen. Yes, but we lost firemen. We lost, like, doctors. We lost people in the daycare centers, people in the restaurants, barbers. Like, a lot of people in my town, I'd say about 300 people worked in my town in those buildings. And the reason I said I have a little bit of an insight on this, it's very sad and it's very tragic. I actually watched the towers go down with my own eyes. What had happened was, when I seen that they had gotten attacked, I hopped in the car and flew over to the beach. The reason I did that was all of these firefighters, their wives were there, because you see, the firefighters all kept their houseboats at this beach. That's literally, they would come back from the city every weekend, and they'd, you know, go and chill on their houseboat and barbecue and hang out with the kids and do the family thing. And, you know, this is what people do around here. You know, no one usually goes and does like an RV thing and goes, no one has time for that. So you get yourself a boat and you go down to the beach. And that's what people would do. So my experience of 9/11 was, I got to stand there at the beach with a crystal clear view and watch the towers fade away in the distance, with about 24 new widows, as the horror dawned on them that they were becoming widows. So that was my experience with 9/11. It was really not a good experience, obviously. And I don't want to, I don't want to bring down the stream, but if anyone ever wants to talk to me about it, I have no problem filling them in. But just be warned, it's the shit of nightmares. But my view
as a kid. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was about, let me see, I was 22 at the time, maybe 21 when it happened. I was already in college. I was already actually working as a cubby at a major newspaper in Manhattan. So I could not get into the city that day because they had closed off all the bridges, all the tunnels. You couldn't even walk across on the Brooklyn Bridge. I was going to try to do that. I was trying to get in there desperately. One last thing about 9/11 really quick before I'd rather segue away from it, because there's only so much you can talk about this. People have said to me in the past, oh, those buildings did not actually go through Manhattan. Now, at this point, most of you folks hear the accent, you know where I live. We got a call after everything had happened, and it was a call from a friend of ours' wives, and he was stuck up in Manhattan. What had happened was he was up on the 18th floor, and he was riveting something, and he went and tumbled ass over tea kettle about 7 or 8 times because the plane came flying past while he was riveting the girders together and nearly dragged him off the damn building.
Eesh.
So, yeah. He called up. He's like, holy shit. He calls his wife, we're under attack. They nearly dragged me off the goddamn building. And she's like, slow down. What happened? And he told her what had happened was the rivet gun actually wrapped around his ankles and basically tethered him to the girder, like when he started tumbling. And that's the reason he didn't wind up going and taking an 18-story dive down to the street. It actually, like, snagged his foot, and he, like, got stuck, like, against the girder. Like, it basically pinned him. So he was lucky with that much, at least. But yeah, that's about everything I got on 9/11 that I want to go into anyway. But anyone wants to, you know, have a chat or ask any questions about it? Yeah, I got some insight on 9/11.
Yeah, my experience was no, because my father was a detective at the time, because he was in the academy in 1980 after his car got stolen. So he worked NYPD for years. The most I remember of that, because I was obviously young, really, really young. I remember him having the truck earlier in the day, getting a call, talking, not really sure what's going on, and then things got dark for a while when the ash like came over, if I remember correctly. But that's about all I remember from that day, really. I was, what, 3? That's one of my few memories from around that age. That and getting a train dropped on my head at my 3rd birthday party by some girl that I don't remember her name, but I remember it was James from Thomas the Tank Engine. And it hurt like hell because it was metal.
That'll do it to it.
Yeah, that's like one of my earliest memories, is getting hit on the head by some toy when I was 3.
Well, it could always be a worse one. Too bad it isn't a nicer one, but
Yeah. That's better than the other memories from when I was 3, I guess. So, segue time.
Burnside, I saw you hopped in. What's going on? You there? Or is he doing his rounds?
Muted.
Oh, here we go.
Partner.
He must not be there. He hasn't yelled sodomite yet.
Not yet, no.
No, we're not in DC, so he can actually yell it.
Yeah.
He really shouldn't yell it at all, but you know.
Why shouldn't I yell sodomite? I have every right as an American.
You have every right, but you sound like a fucking moron when you do.
Yes.
I know I sound like a moron, and I don't care. There have been people that have said stupider things, like people who go out in the streets and read memes aloud.
Well, those people also are idiots.
Oh, they're absolutely blithering. I remember a shoveled bunch of protesters at one of my old sites I used to work at. There's literally a guy who was walking around in a green robe, cross-eyed. He literally was purposely walking with his eyes cross-eyed. And he was like tethered to a guy in front of him, or a girl, or whatever the fuck it was, some amorphous goat fucker. And this guy's walking around in a green robe, and he literally had like a thick fucking 2-3 inch stack of fucking papers that were memes. And, you know, because like I heard this dude like at the top of his lungs yelling the most randomest shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I heard just out of nowhere, something, I think it was in the name of Kekistan lulls the nets or something like that. And then I was like, wait a minute, this guy's reading out fucking memes. And like literally, this guy had 3 miles of fucking papers following him all throughout the whole route he went, because this dude was literally reading a meme and throwing it in the air. You know, didn't even bother to put it in the fucking garbage can or hand it to somebody or whatever. You know, this dude's just, you know, going with a bunch of fucking crazies, you know, going on screaming memes in the middle of the street.
Well, I used to no, back when I still was in my college, for the Women's March, the girls in our dorm created a sign because they were going down to Philly to go to the Philly one. Oh, the puns were so bad. I remember my roommate walking into the room and just going, ah! because he was there doing art with them because he was bored as hell probably. But whenever he came back, he's like, "Oh God, they're so bad." Just let's see. There was two Harry Potter ones, of course. One
Yeah,
that's punnage
that's
was
kind
really
of
bad.
that is a definitive feature of your generation. Everything's a Harry Potter reference, and I'm like,
He was wizards, just like Harry was.
I'm about to, and I scream this. I would love to scream that Harry Potter sucked. It was shitty writing, shittier movies. It fucking sucked.
Why do you
Get
think
over
we
it.
read it when we were in elementary school? And then
Yeah, go read Tolkien.
enjoyed some little renaissance now where it's relevant again, and people put it in their fucking dating bios that they're a fucking Hufflepuff or something.
Yeah, things like that just make me want to start the Huey up. That's all I have to say.
Like, could we find something else to make parallels with, please?
Well,
Or just
they're
have
not
straightforward
intellectually
discussions?
they are not intellectually capable of making parallels with anything more complicated than Harry Potter.
Yeah, the thing is like they're really smart people. Well, they're English majors, but they're really smart people. Well, one was a
Which
theater
means-
major and gender studies
which-
minor, but they're
which
smart
means they're gonna
people.
have-
They could do
which-
other things.
Which means at the end of the day, they're going to end up being school teachers and indoctrination officers.
Did I mention like half of them have education minors?
Yeah, because they don't want to be Starbucks employees for their entire life.
That's like people are like, hey, why don't you get a career or go to school for history? I'm like, I don't want to be a teacher. I hate teaching with a passion. I like ranting and giving lectures, but when it comes to actually teaching someone, I teach myself and help myself study better when I'm telling someone else that they have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Like if we're trying to tutor someone, I'm learning the stuff better than they are just by reiterating to them. So I could never be a teacher, and being a historian is something I would see more as a hobby than as actually being able to do that for a viable career. Also, it's not my passion.
No.
It's like one of my side things that I just know a fair amount about, like cars or, you get the point. It's nothing I would see career viable.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, and the thing is, it's like when you have to deal with people. It's like, oh, they're like, oh no, we need this or that or this or.
You don't have freedom of your curriculum. We
need to set it so these children have the absolutely understand that what we are saying is right, blah 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 blah. We need to teach them how to think, and that's pretty much how they do that.
More or less, I had maybe 3. Well, you could probably go for 6 teachers that weren't entirely boring and actually thought outside the box, but probably only about 3 that actually went a little bit farther than just occasional bits. I don't know. It just kind of was your whole, like, they tried holding to the curriculum, but they tried doing other stuff too, and then you just have the English teacher that would make you watch movies every other week and write 2 sentences on it.
Yeah, please
write a paper being as long as you want it to be.
There was always a length requirement for us. It's like you do less than 2 pages, you're getting kicked. Like that's generally what the rule was. Like write an X amount. You can write it however long you want, but if you write it a little bit less than this, you're fucked.
On this boring ass movie that we had to watch because I'm too lazy to assign actual reading requirements.
I'm pretty sure I Spark Notes my way through 11th and 12th grade English. I don't think I read a single thing. I think the only one that remotely challenged me was 10th grade English, which was just because The Grapes of Wrath made me want to claw my eyes out. Speaking of books on happy subjects, I'm reading Kaput by Curzio Malaparte, which is about the Holocaust and the Nazi invasion of the USSR and all the fun bits and pieces that go with it, like starving from Leningrad, or just randomly killing Ukrainians, or your good old fashioned Warsaw ghettos. It's a happy story, and it proves horseshoe theory because the writer was an Italian fascist who, after the war, slowly became more and more communist. I'm like, oh, this is just. It's well written and it's pretty objective. I have a funny feeling it's fictionalized to an extent because obviously you're not going to be able to get much. Like, I highly doubt he met with the Governor General of Poland that many times, which you can't exactly corroborate that because he's very much dead. He was hung after the Nuremberg trials.
Damn.
Yeah, he's fucking dead because he's like, oh, I didn't know that much about I thought they were just working camps. I didn't know they were death camps that all these Jews are going to and never coming back from.
No.
Oh,
No, the Poles were much easier to get into killing the Jews than the Germans were. So
really, at that point, you're just kind of fucked because you've been bent over a barrel for. What do you say? 1796 was when the Poles lost independence in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.
just about.
Around there. Founded. Yeah, can you tell me when it ended?
Yeah, they've lost their independence for a long time, and then when the
95.
Germans took them on one end, and then the Russians took them on the other, yeah, it was just game the fuck over.
And then the Second Republic was formed. Pilsudski basically salvaged a lot, but the land they won from the Soviet Union after kicking their ass is more of just not the best word. It's probably more of hey, Stalin decided to go siege a different city, so they were able to not die horribly.
Yeah,
because he's like, I'm going to go siege Lvov, but you're supposed to go for Warsaw with whatever the other communist guy that got purged later on. But then they had a country that couldn't really be defended well from the east, where it wasn't very economically viable. They also had the infrastructure of 3 different empires, so you're kind of screwed at that point because your country's in 3 different portions. So it's like, how are you supposed to make work? It's like built by 3 different empires. You have to say, okay, let's consolidate this and then try to get this infrastructure. Oh, look, there's Germans and communists on our borders. What could possibly go wrong?
Talking about the Polish?
Yeah, I went on my usual segue.
the Poles getting raped royally. World War.
Oh, you don't gotta tell me. My whole neighborhood's become Polish. We have so many expatriated Polish people now. My new neighbors, they're from Poland.
My best friend's Polish, but he lives in Denmark because.
Yeah, you were telling me, the guy you went to go visit that time.
Yeah, as ironic as this, the neighborhood I was in for a long time, Hegwish is a Polish neighborhood. It actually got its name from a man named Adolf, who literally renamed himself Achilles Hegwish, who was a prominent businessman during the 20s and 30s.
Oh, and everyone thanked me when I was in DC. I did not burn Scooby's Magda hat, so be glad.
Yep, it's still there.
I just don't. I to this day do not understand why anyone would support Hillary Clinton. And you can tell me her experience, and I point to 4 dead friends and say that she had no experience.
Yeah.
Yep, I hear you there, man.
Well, personally, I didn't. Other than Bernie, I didn't like any of the people that were up for election.
And Bernie needed to be hung. Period.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. You know, my problem with Hillary, and you know, I loved it. I would be talking to people on the internet, and they're like, "You don't like Hillary because she's a woman." I said, "No, I don't like Hillary because she's my senator." I actually had a legit reason to dislike this broad. I dealt with her for years.
A lot of reasons.
One-term senator.
Mm-hmm.
One-term senator, lost the Democratic primary twice, or no, won once by cheating, and then lost to Trump, and then she lost to Obama, and she was given the Secretary of State position after that. She got 4 better people than she could ever be killed. And yeah. So yeah, she's
don't forget Haiti. She raped the shit out of Haiti.
Oh yeah, let's not forget about what she did to Haiti.
Yeah,
Speaking of Wilson, I'm just sorry, Wilson and occupying Haiti for like 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, she was the worst possible candidate they could have run, and and people always come back, well, she had experience, and I'm like, experience getting an American ambassador killed? I wouldn't call that a positive experience.
The thing of it was, when they try to talk about the experience thing, it's you know as well as I do, they have nothing else that they can say. They just I like it better when they're honest. Like Tara, at least, you know, like when I ask her, why don't you like Trump, she's like, I just don't like him. You know, that's refreshing to me. Just
I've never liked him.
Yeah, you don't have to like them. But that's my point, was these other people, they wouldn't say that they were voting for her because they don't like Trump. They would just, well, she's the better candidate. Really? Look, just be honest. Yeah, the fact that Trump had all the stuff going for him, I was going to vote for him anyway. But if it wasn't Trump, I would have just said, well, it's not her. I would have been completely honest. Like, if anyone asked me, it ain't her. That's the reason I'm voting for this person. The fact that it was exactly the candidate I wanted just happened to be the bonus to go with it. But nah, I grew up with Bubba as my president when I was in high school and when I was in college, and man, he was so fucking cool. You know, I remember there was that story when I was a teenager in high school. I think it was during his first term, and somebody was talking to him, and they're like, you know, Mr. President, it's a real honor to meet you, and this, that, and third. And he looks at me, he's like, oh hell, son, just call me Bubba. You know, he was really cool like that. And he played that saxophone, and he wore Ray-Bans. And then you find out he's a fucking pedophile that goes off to what's his name's island, and he likes the little girl.
Let's not forget the trail of bodies that have followed the Clinton family.
Yeah.
I mean, did they make a mob boss jealous? I mean, seriously, I don't think Lucky Luciano has killed that many people.
No. Here's how many people they've killed. They've killed enough people to match a good Saturday in Chicago. That's pretty fucking hard to do.
No, I thought they were up to around 90.
That's what I'm saying. Like a good Saturday. Like I'm talking about 105 degrees between Austin, Inglewood, and the bad part of the east side and a couple of the other shitholes around me. Yeah, I'm telling you, like a really good Friday going to Saturday at 105 degrees for a whole day. Yeah, that'll get you about 90 dead bodies.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
They was on the news last week. Didn't they have like 75 in one day?
Just about.
Yeah.
It was 75 shots. I'll have to go double check and see how many were actually killed, because typically the TV will inflate the number of shots with dead bodies, and it's actually supposed to be the other way around, but they want to pin it on Trump, so fuck him, right? Because usually
I would pin it on the damn I would pin it on the damn
Mayor?
I mean, yeah, fuck him. He's the one. His policies are direct reason why you have the problems you have in fucking Chicago.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I've always hated him, and that's why I'm actually glad the fucker's going to step down. I'm just waiting to see if it gets worse, and if Mr. Captain Progressive Sodomy, J.B. Pritzker, decides he's going to go and get up on his pedestal and dance around like a fairy and say, I'm going to be your new mayor, oh! And then we'll have 3 times the dead bodies and 4 times the amount of gay pride.
But baby, it's dead bodies.
It's cheaper real estate.
Yeah.
The problem is that Chicago has nothing of value. I mean, honest to God, that Burnside would probably be the only loss if somebody detonated a fucking tac nuke in the middle of the town.
Aren't they just good for like logistical stuff?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Weren't they a railroad center?
Yeah, we're a railroad, and we're now an on-demand trucking country.
Yeah, Chicago's gradually becoming obsolete with logistics. But for a long time we were a central hub for transit, because we were, roughly in about the center of the country and between Lake Michigan and the other major ports we used to have before they got sold off to China, used to be good for us. But, most of our deep water ports are owned by China. It wouldn't surprise me if the one in Hegewisch is actually owned by China, since we get mostly Chinese ships over there every now and again when I go and take a look. And, the railroads, our railroads need maintenance, and they need to be removed because they're all around the fucking ghetto. That's why so much crazy shit happens. It's because, you can hardly get out of the bad neighborhoods because there's so many railroad tracks. And
I remember when they closed down the stockyards when I was in high school. They still use those things up until the late 90s.
Yeah, we're basically doing the same over here. We're doing the same shit because it's not requiring any additional money to keep the shit running and to just keep the other bodies underneath, wherever the fuck they can keep the bodies. Nobody cares.
And
because
Burnside up here says Chicago needs a libertarian mayor and Illinois needs a Republican governor.
You're goddamn right they do.
Yeah.
And it needs a subway system. It doesn't have a subway system. I thought it did.
No, it has an above ground rail system.
Yeah.
For the most. And the thing is it doesn't. If it has an above ground commuter rail system, it doesn't need a subway system.
We have both here. We if once you get into Queens and Brooklyn, they have both the L line and they have the subway line. The subway line runs through all 5 boroughs. The L trains tend to run in the outer boroughs. So, we have an L train on Long Island that intersects and keeps going. I could take the L. I actually rode the L train all the way into Penn. I could, if I want, I could change over to the subway, but there's really no point in it at that point. They have it, so there's really no point in changing over at Jamaica and taking the subway, but you can take the L all the way in. But the reason
at least on the train, you get nice scenery.
Yeah, well, the problem is...
It depends where the train goes through.
Yeah, the problem is it's how our topography is. New York is famous for its bedrock. That bedrock actually only extends as far as, I think, Brooklyn. Once you get past Brooklyn, it's no longer bedrock. It's just regular shale and limestone, whatever else. So it's not strong enough where they can't really be putting in subway tunnels that far and that deep because you wind up hitting the ocean where it's literally that low at sea level. That's the thing a lot of people don't realize. We're just too damn low. I'm actually, I think, at 1 foot sea level. I dig in my back. Yeah, bro. If I dig in my backyard, I can't get past maybe 18 inches. I start hitting seawater.
Damn.
Yeah, for you to put a house here, you have to do all sorts of shit. You have to pump it out depending on where you are, the water table. The water table by me is just really low. There are other neighborhoods where the water table will be upwards of. I think the highest point around here is maybe 50 feet above sea level. I'm not sure.
Wow, that's not a lot of footage.
No, it's really not.
Yeah, I remember our old Staten Island house. That was great for flooding.
Yeah.
I wonder how they were with Sandy. I know a block away down the Highland Boulevard, there was a bunch of houses that got flattened.
Bro,
there was where the mob used to dump bodies, if I remember. No, I don't think it was that bird reserve, but all the mobsters lived on the coast there, apparently.
Yeah. There is during Hurricane Sandy, I think that was the last one that we had. That was the one in October. I think it was 5 years ago now. I forget where the hell I was. It might have been Lindenhurst. It could have been Massapequa. I'm not sure. And I'm looking out. I don't know where. Again, I don't know where I was, but I'm looking, and I see this house, and I watch this house slide right into the fucking bay. I couldn't believe it. I was holy
that's funny.
Shit. Yeah. I'm watching this house, and all of a sudden the house is there, and it just slides right into the bay. I was like, oh my God, that house just disappeared. It was sick to watch, man. Yeah, that's no joke. That's why, everyone was joking and everything with California. My heart went out to those people when they had all that shit going on. I mean, yeah, you got a bunch of whack fucking dudes that live over there, but that's that's in the city areas on the coast. You know, those crazy people. You got all these
But it
poor
is worth the
farmers.
sacrifice if it gets rid of those goddamn hippies.
It doesn't.
Quote
I'm
Ronald Reagan.
saying, like the mudslides and the fires, it all burnt. Everything, the mudslides first, everything starts sliding, then it catches fire. So now you got all this flaming mudsliding at you. But it basically it wipes out all the farmers, and then it stops before it basically it hits the people that you actually want it to get. It loses all momentum and it grinds to a halt. So you got all these dead conservatives, like in these flaming piles of mud and trees and shit, and you got all these hipsters sitting there looking at them like, oh well, they're deplorables anyway. So. That's why my heart went out to the people in California. It's not the ones you wanted to hit. Now I'm saying if there was like tsunamis hitting California, then I'd be partying because it's I'm joking. I wouldn't be partying, but you know what I'm saying. It's those are the people.
Add a little bit more to the trash flow in the Pacific.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, that would be funny if that giant trash heap thing everyone bitches about just flopped right onto the California shores.
I know Indonesia has a wonderful thing for trash everywhere because of the tsunami that it's still over. That the water's so polluted on I think Sumatra, like southern Sumatra,
Well, another thing is about Asia. Asia is dirty in general.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the beach areas, especially the beach areas outside of certain areas, because this is where they have all of the breaker yards at, where all of the ships that are no longer in service are taken to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Fun.
Hate those yards. I hate watching ships get scrapped. Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
If I had the energy, and if I was staying after Scream, I'd run upstairs, grab the photo off my wall of my grandfather's ship he served on in interwar years.
Oh,
Destroyer
nice.
escort. It ended up getting target practice because of there was a missile test that he decided not to go to, and it blew up the entire front end of the ship, so they used it for target practice.
Damn.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the thing is, though,
I think.
The thing is with the fucking with ships is honestly, ocean-going ships don't have that long of a lifespan. I mean, we're talking 20, 30 years, especially cargo carriers, because they are literally beat to shit. And I mean, they strip anything usable out of them, and then they break them for scrap metal.
I know about that. It's just. It breaks my heart. Like, there's one left in San Diego, and that really annoys me because all the good shit goes to San Diego. I believe there's one Liberty ship left in San Diego, but one of our Liberty ships that we had, and for those of you lay folks who are watching this that don't know what a Liberty ship is, the Liberty ships were the non-military ships that they were using, basically the ships that were hauling all the stuff the merchant marines were on. That you had the Germans.
Basically, they were
failing to make any impact with sinking.
Well, let's put it this way: we were building a Liberty ship. I think it got down to we could build a Liberty ship in 12 days.
Yeah,
and it was the most manufactured ship during the war years. They made more of that than they made destroyers. Yeah. Those ships kept England alive. Yeah. And they also kept the shitty Russians, who we never should have backed and let the Nazis grind to death on each other supplied with crap through Archangel. I mean, yeah, but we did get rid of all of our really shitty Lee tanks that way.
On a grander scale, though, how does Donald Trump lose $900 million? It's because he has the guts to make the gamble. You know what I mean? Now, most people, I think, if they got to $3 billion or $4 billion or whatever Mr. Trump is worth, would just sit on it. But he's willing to throw the dice. You know,
and also take it off his income tax.
Yeah, but that's illegal.
Guess we're watching his news with him.
I know him casually.
Anyway,
I've never seen the man.
Let me see real quick. There it is. Nothing against purposeful. It's just I can't have that because I might get actually something. YouTube might be like, no, you can't do that. You're in trouble.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. They do get pissy about that shit.
Yeah, they do. That's why I was trying to get the mute button, but this computer's a hunk of shit.
Also, Hammer, you still here?
Yeah, Hammer's here. Hammer!
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they used to have competitions on which shipyard could build the Liberty ships the fastest.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they were riveted together, and so therefore, yeah, they didn't age well. But
That's
yes,
what I was.
Remember the Italians still riveted armor in World War II for their tanks?
Yeah.
So did the Czechs.
There's actually one Liberty ship left in service. That's what I was getting at. It's down in Argentina.
It's we have one that's remaining. Okay, the USS or the SS Robert E. Pearly Liberty ship was built in 4 days, 15 hours, and 29 minutes.
Damn,
that's impressive.
God, reminded me of late war.
And this is a 441-foot long ship. Displacing let me pull this up because they don't have they displaced 14,000 tons. So yeah, we built a shit ton of Liberty ships. Let's see, total number completed 2,700, active 1, and it is a traveling museum ship.
Yeah.
And then there are 3 that are preserved. The Red Oak is one of the ones that's preserved. You can actually go to it. And San Diego, which is not a bad part of California, it's actually a more conservative part of California. It's everything in California that sucks. It's basically from LA to Sacramento, including like that whole little like block. Just wall that shit off. Call it the Republic of Dumb Fuckistan. And
Republic of Dumb Fuckistan. I like that.
I always wanted to move to San Diego. If I ever left New York, I said that's where I would move in Cali because
here be maniacs.
Well, one of the reasons is that San Diego is so conservative. It is where the West Coast Marines are.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where the Pacific Fleet is stationed. That's one of the reasons I said I would. If I did move somewhere, it would probably be there. The other part of it was just because where I am right now in New York, I'm by all the shipyards, so that's part of the reason I hate seeing ships get scrapped. I know that obviously you can't save them forever. Plus by me they turned them into reefs, which is cool. We got a whole bunch of reefs. That's why I wish I had a decent camera and I could. So many of my friends like, yo, Scoob, I want to go out and get drunk in my boat. You want to drive me? Yeah, sure, all right. I'll go out and film it. You sit in the back and get verschnickered,
I mean, the Liberty ship was one idea. Another idea we did, and it was during World War One.
Mm-hmm.
We were making freighters out of concrete. So
why? That sounds crazy.
No, it's not.
Try
to
this.
preserve precious metal.
Okay.
Yeah, concrete is not a strategic resource. Steel is. So the idea is we would build them out of freaking concrete. Problem with that is that because basically it's water displacement. Shape the hull right, it's going to float even if it's made out of concrete.
Okay.
You just have to convince someone to say, "Hey, guess what? You're going to go over there, avoid the people with the U-boats that are having a hell of a time hating life."
A boat made out of fucking artificial rock.
It's like, oh, it's a rock. So yeah, it's a rock. So if we sink it, it's going down really quickly.
But if you ram a U-boat, you're gonna fuck it up.
Bunga.
Yeah, seriously. I remember when they were making those concrete ships. That's just like some of the crazy shit that they did.
In fact, you can still see some on the edge of the Chesapeake Bay, abandoned.
I think I have when we went boating one time.
Yeah, I used to think that they were like statues of boats when I was a kid.
Hey, in the Philippines, don't we have a concrete fortress over there?
It's called Corregidor.
Yeah.
It's called Corregidor. It was where MacArthur, Corregidor Peninsula. It was a fort. It's been there since the Spanish-American War.
Nice.
It's been there a while.
Cool shit.
It has a giant statue to MacArthur there.
Is he giving everyone the middle finger?
Oh, he's nuking
No.
China.
No, I mean MacArthur had the problem of pissing off fucking. He was great. MacArthur was good, and I'm going to piss some people off when I say this. Patton was a terrible general and should have never been made a general. And when everybody quotes Patton, I'm just like want to smack them because Patton was not an infantryman; he was a cavalryman. And when you talk about like the M1 Garand, I want to smack people around because like that rifle was outdated before it entered service because of its in-block clip. Not about magazine. It should have had a 20-round box magazine.
I prefer not to chop off my fingers.
Yeah. Well, ironically enough, the Italians fixed it after World War II by making it have a box.
Treating us well.
Well, the BM-58 or BM-59 is an Italian rifle, and it was basically they rechambered it in 308 and made it have a box magazine. So they fixed everything that was wrong with it.
Conversion kit for people that do that.
No, they actually did. No, the Italians.
Well, no, I mean I know of conversion kits that give them box mags.
Well, yeah, but long story short, Patton. Everybody quotes Patton, and I'm like, Patton was a cavalryman. He was not an infantryman. He had so many problems because he failed to maintain his supply lines. He advanced so fast. He advanced beyond his logistics. Patton was a great colonel, but he shouldn't have been anything but a colonel.
Yeah, he was more of a let's go while we want to.
Well, he was more of a impulse. He was not a theater officer. He was a field officer. Yeah. He could handle battalions, maneuvering companies, but because of wartime, he was promoted beyond his abilities. And in all honesty, he could not handle logistical corps shit. That's why, because they had to keep telling him, stop, because the trucks can't keep up.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, that was the problem with him, and I've always said the same thing. It's not that I dislike Patton. I thought Patton was, the great warrior. The problem is, you're sending troops into battle, and they're getting there before the ammo can catch up to them. You're getting them there, and they're getting injured before the corpsmen have, the shit to clean these guys up and bandage them and take care of them. You can't it's like Nana Reaper was saying, you cannot outpace your supply. That's now you have two enemies cutting against you. The one is the enemy you're fighting, and the second one is you now have no supply to.
And another thing is he was using armored thrust, and Shermans were shit. But when you outnumber the Germans 5-1, you can afford to have shitty tanks.
Honestly, I would say the Shermans, they weren't the best tanks, but I would say they were kind of the best tank as they worked almost anywhere in any theater. But then again,
quantity has a quality all its own.
Yeah.
And once we put a long-barreled 76 on them, they were adequate. They were good enough to do the job.
Yeah, and the German outlook killed them because they're like, okay. That's what we're saying with the shipping war is they made they wanted to make some sub, and they had it all drafted up that this is going to be undetectable. It's going to be able to completely fuck over. That they're trying to make something really, really high quality. This is their outlook for the entire war. Make something of a higher grade.
Well, the biggest problem with the German army is they had no logistical corps.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Tiger tanks being supplied by horse-drawn carts.
Yeah, I remember they're mostly pushed into the U.S. Hell, even in the book I'm reading, they're freezing horses in a river in Karelia so that they can eat them when it thaws out. Dead horses.
And I mean here, America. Honestly, I think the greatest thing. First of all, America pioneered in World War II time-on-target artillery. You want an 8-inch howitzer barrage on the grid square when you want it. We were the only country able to do it.
Yeah.
Another thing is we get to the push west in Europe, and we suddenly have rivers and the bridges have blown up. We take our 2.5-ton trucks and make an amphibious version of them to cross the to continue our supply lines. Yeah, I mean, we had a plan, and we had like the 8-Ball Express, which was a black unit, a supply unit that was basically driving balls to the wall from fucking France to Germany in 2.5-ton trucks to deliver ammo and everything else. And I think the 2.5-ton truck was probably the biggest, the most important ground implement in the U.S. arsenal, because the Sherman was a steaming pile of garbage.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you hit that thing with an 88 from just about any angle, it's dead.
You remember how the Germans were calling them Tommy cookers, right?
Yeah, because they're the Ronson.
Well, wasn't there a top secret armor that they came up with, the formula for the armor? They figured out when the German shells were hitting it. That's basically the recipe that we came up with for road flares, if I'm not mistaken. we figured out.
They called it the Ronson. They called it the Ronson because it was running on avgas. Because almost all your Shermans are running on 100-octane aviation fuel because they're running on airplane motors. They're running on
aviation fuel.
I just answered that. If you waited a second, they were running on 9-cylinder radial engines, Pratt and Whitney engines.
Yeah.
And if you hit them, the German 88 hits you, and pretty much anything in the field during World War II got hit by a German 88. It was dead. Because the 88 would pin, it would overpin, and it would blow a big fucking hole through whatever you had. I mean, but the Germans had the same problem. German tank catches on fire, it's burning because they were running on petrol. The Russians actually had the right idea. Fucking run your fucking tanks on diesel.
And just keep throwing them at them no matter what.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was our original armor pattern. If I'm not mistaken, and please definitely somebody correct me on this one, because this is something I've been hearing for years, and I don't know how to look it up myself. It's one of those things you start trying to look it up and you can't find it because there's too many damn pages. You know, it's a hot button topic. What I was going to say was our armor for the Shermans. I mean, the original recipe was, if I remember correctly, it was a steel derivative, but I'm pretty sure it was like aluminum, magnesium, and phosphorus were part of the ingredients. The same ingredients that you get road flares and white phosphorus. You know, like the one Willie Pete. Specifically the coating.
Shermans were made out of rolled steel. They were not. The problem is because how big the fucking engine is, right? Mm-hmm. And it has a vertical. The vertical sides, right? Mm-hmm. The fuel tanks are right behind those sides.
Yeah.
So you put a 75 HP or armor-piercing high explosive through the side of that tank, it's going to ignite the tank. That's why they were called the Ronson, because they lit up the first time every time. Not because of something they actually put in the steel. It was just a design choice. Of where they located the fuel tanks, and the Germans knew if you shot them in the side, you were going to knock the tank out and it was going to catch on fire.
All right, because I had heard that because they were using regular standardized rolled steel, that they were using a magnesium derivative in the paint to coat it, because the zinc was being utilized by the Navy, and they figured it out because the paint itself was igniting when the fuel was hitting it. That's part of the reason that's, at least from what I remember, it was specifically the paint. That's when they figured out, that's what I was talking about, when they figured out that it was, they could use this shit to make flares because the paint was igniting. Specifically, I think it was the camouflage, the pattern that they were using. I think it was like the green portion was going up when it was getting hit with flame. I'm not 100%. It's maybe something I heard that might be like an urban legend, like on the same level as Kilroy. I heard this from the old timers. Is what it is.
No, wait, they didn't know magnesium was incredibly volatile like that?
They use it as a substitute for zinc, for the rust retardant paint. Zinc is actually a really good. It was back in the 40s. What they would do is you would paint something. You would have like a zinc-based paint for certain things, like agricultural things, because the zinc would rust first. Then you would just buff it off and you put on a new coat. And if I remember correctly, the zinc was being used by the Navy, so they used magnesium as an alternative. Then these idiots just realized it was just probably cheaper, I guess, to just galvanize the steel. I'm not sure. Again, I'm just talking off of shit I heard from men that are all long dead by now. So,
well, I mean, first of all, we didn't. Our tanks weren't really camouflage. We just painted them fucking.
Yeah,
just painted them green and sent them.
Yeah.
Another thing is, I've never heard that. But again, that sounds on the lines of because they knew magnesium because they had magnesium flares. You know.
Yeah. It sounds something stupid that I could picture some moron in middle management making that sort of a decision and not consulting anybody. That does sound like, I hate saying this about Army. It's never the troops. It's always the people that are doing the paperwork. That sounds like an Army mistake. I can see that happening with them. You know, like the old joke. You remember the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark? I remember I was watching it with my father, and it gets to the part where they get to the warehouse, and my father starts laughing hysterically. I'm like, "What's so funny?" He said, "It's a joke." He said there was an old saying when I was in the service: "If you want it lost properly, give it to the Army." That was a joke. You know, you gotta remember the old man served. I think Eisenhower was the president. Yeah, the old man was in the Navy in like '54. You know, during Korea. So
yeah, and that's back to fucking MacArthur. That's where he got fucked over. Is he had gotten a pissing match with Ike.
And he wanted to nuke China to block coming into Korea.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those plans. I'm like, I think you're going a little over the top there. Like yeah, let's just make a line of nuclear hellfire. Then they can't reinforce the Koreans. So like, I'm like, okay,
that's awesome.
Okay, that is opening a can of worms that is just going to escalate. So just don't.
Well, at the time, you know, China didn't have any nuclear weapons, and at the time, even though people don't understand this, is the only other people that had a nuke were the Russians, and the Russians were much more likely to drop it on the fucking Chinese than they were to drop it on us.
Yeah,
I mean, all good communists is a kind of a fucking joke because honestly, Mao Zedong or followers of Mao and followers of Lenin do not get along. They hate each other. They actually hate each other more than they do fucking capitalists. It's funny, and it's one of the reasons why. Well, it's not like one of the reasons. Well, yeah, and that's why the former Yugoslavia was a satellite of China. Funny story on that one. But it's like people say, well, if the communists had gotten their act together in Spain, they would have beaten Franco. No, they wouldn't, because communist equipment is shit.
There's too much infighting between the anarchists, the communists, and the actual Republicans.
Well, also the Republicans had BF-109s, and the communists were supplied with fucking Russian biplanes. So, you know, air superiority was something that the commies needed to abandon day one of the day because of, even though that they and this is why you found so many people interested in the Spanish Civil War is it was a tech demo for the Luftwaffe. That's really what it was. But the Luftwaffe was pretty smart. They sent all of the BF-109s they sent to Spain only had machine guns. They didn't bother to send any of the cannon-armed ones. So it was kind of really a bad surprise for Britain when they suddenly had BF-109s with 20 millimeters in them.
trying to think what because I remember Stalin how many times he attempted to assassinate Tito. That Tito's line was something along the lines of, "Listen, you keep doing this, I will send an assassin myself, and I will not have to send another." Something along those lines, because Stalin just got pissed. He's like, "Yeah, let's kill this guy. I'm at a puppet." And they failed, they failed, they failed. Like Trotsky with his ice pick eventually.
But hold on. Can we legally talk about Tito without Makarov here? Is that yes? Yeah, are we sure? I don't want to get in trouble.
I haven't talked to him actually in about a month or so. I looked. I didn't see he was on. I was going to send him a link, but it didn't occur to me because I figured we would be talking about American shit most of the night, and I didn't want him to fall asleep like he did last time.
All right, guys. I feel like utter shit, so I'm going to bed.
All right. Good night, Tara. Please feel better.
Oh, hopefully. Good night.
Good night.
Well.
Yeah, because the last time we streamed with him, I remember he actually fell asleep and he face planted into the soda machine he was leaning against.
Oh, dear God.
I'm like, what the hell is that noise? He's like, oh, I dozed off and smacked into the soda machine. I'm like, what are you, that tired? He's like, no, you guys are talking about American shit. It's dull. I'm paraphrasing the man, but, you know, there's something along those lines.
Okay, I can shit post my way to geopolitics.
What's up, Herb?
Scoob in time.
Mm-hmm.
One of us, Scooby, has to host with just a time to speak in Makarov and just let them talk.
Oh God.
Oh, that's better off if you do it. I'll probably that's all you, Irv. 100%.
Sure, yeah.
All you. Yeah. Definitely.
Because that'll be fun. That'll be super interesting to people who give a shit about the former Yugoslavia.
Oh hell yeah.
I do. Because quite frankly, they make the world's best AK mags.
I've heard that about them.
The reason they make such great AK, they're the only AK mags that lock open on the last shot because they have a different shaped follower. So they make the world's best AK mags. I know I'm pissing off probably some fucking "it's not made in Russia" fucking fanboys. Dude, don't ever buy a Russian AK. Buy a Bulgarian AK before you buy a Russian.
I was just about to say the Bulgars make pretty decent AKs.
I mean, you know, there's a reason that Arsenal picks Bulgaria to make their AKs, or as a country of origin for AKs. I mean, the Czechs make good AKs. Well, they actually made a VZ58. I mean, something like an AK.
Just get that instead of an AK.
Yeah, no, you can't anymore because they're as expensive as AKs. So there's no more buying a rifle for $300 with 6 mags and a cleaning kit. God, I miss the good old days.
It's like the SKSs back in the day.
At this point, you just might as well slap down all of the monies on the CZ805.
Those actually look pretty decent. The pistols and the SBR.
Well, I have a couple of full-length carbines, and that way you can at least use a PMag and shoot NATO ammunition out of them. And I prefer
because I've heard
the 16-inch barrel because you can actually hit something more than 10 feet away with it. But I mean, that way you have a Picatinny rail, so you can mount your flare launcher. You know, you mount your little side rails on the side. They actually jam less than scars, so you know.
Oh, cool.
And
then
you put the light on one side, your laser designator, and your optic, and you're good to go.
And they're not $100, if I remember correctly. The SCAR goes for about that, or are they more now?
Well, the CZ805 burn one carbine, S1. The S2 is if you want to fire AK ammunition. I have both. But the S1 is the NATO ammunition. That goes for about $1,800, give or take. And the SCAR, because FN loves their shit, they're about $2,100 for a SCAR 16.
Hey.
Or more if you want to go for a SCAR 17, which is the only reason you would ever want a SCAR.
Get a fire.
I have a SCAR 16, I have a SCAR 17, but honestly, field reliability, I'll take an FNAL over any
I was about
Scar.
to say that's my personal crush when it comes to rifles.
I mean, if I like actually having a weapon that has a pedigree for killing commies, and I can buy $18 magazines all day long.
Yeah, I like it more than the PTR 91. Is that what they call the import G3s? I forgot what they call them nowadays.
No, they're not imported. They're made here domestically completely. They're better than the H&K versions. I now just pissed off all the HK fanboys in the group.
Yeah, that's always a touchy subject.
Not me.
Well,
You haven't pissed me off. You said it works better, so I will
Trust
take
me.
your word for it, and I will demand you.
Well,
send
the reason it works better is you cannot fire 308 ammunition through an HK91. You have to fire 7.62 by 51, which is a weaker round. You can fire both out of a PTR 91 because it has an extra flute in the chamber. My major issue with the PTR 91 and the HK 91 is they fucking do not lock open on an empty magazine. So you're just going bang, 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 click, fuck. Now the PTRs used to be you used to have to pay to have the paddle mag release added. Now they are selling them with paddle mags.
For how much markup?
Oh, not much. They're still the same price. They just changed the design. The problem is the PTR 91s, HK 91s have a muddy trigger. They've always had a muddy trigger.
So I've always preferred the FAL, even though they're a bit heavier.
But if you're going class 3, the trigger group on a PTR 91 or an HK 91 is the only thing that the ATF considers a gun. So if you have a full auto trigger group in a class 3 license, and you have an MP5 body, you can slap that on there. You have a G3 machine gun body, you can slap that on there. If you have a PTR 91, you can slap it on there. The trigger group itself, which is completely by itself, it separates from the rifle, separates from the magazine well, is the only part the ATF considers a gun. And if you have several different uppers, and you can move that trigger group between them, and when it's on that trigger group, it's a class 3 firearm. When it's not on that trigger group, it's not a class 3 firearm. So you can have a bang switch that's usable on multiple weapons.
Huh. I know.
Which means we can all go do the ultimate diehard thing and sit around with a Beretta Model 92 in one hand and a fucking MP5 in the other and go ho ho ho. Now I have a fucking machine gun.
I always liked MP5s. They're cute little toys.
I enjoy them. It's just I like the SIG MPX recently. You
cannot pay me to touch a modern SIG. They've had massive quality control issues.
Oh, the 320 with their hammer issue.
Oh, that's one of 8 recalls they've had. The MPX
yeah, no, I remember that was all over the place. Like
the MPX has had a recall. The Patrol 716 has had a recall. A whole bunch of shit. The problem is the demand for SIG products has exploded, and their manufacturing capability has not kept up. So when that happens, like what happens with anything, quality control goes to shit.
Yep. Damn shame, too.
Well, as far as towards people, just go with that, Finn. They've actually built 4 new plants to handle their weapons demand. Or go with CZ. You can't go wrong with CZ. You can't go wrong with FN except for the price tag. But like the FN 509, I think is a better pistol than the CZ than the SIG 320, and they're in that same price point. I mean, anything's better than a Glock. There's only one firearm company that's uglier than Glocks, and that's a High Point.
I actually have someone that swears by his C9, and it does what he needs it to do, but I guess
if you absolutely need a motherfucking pistol for $180,
I'm trying to think, is it a C9?
The high point. I think it is something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And
I
I,
mean-
don't know. Me personally, though, if I was like, I'm talking like
How
conceal
bad?
and carry, and now that's different than a normal sidearm. You know, the sidearm you can actually wear out. You know, be seen. But I'm talking conceal and carry. Like if I actually was trying my damnedest and firepower, I probably would go with a Glock 21, only because it's a 45 and that smaller frame, smaller package, easier to conceal. But other than that, I'm not particularly over enthralled with Glock. You know,
Well, I mean, I don't see the need to fucking put the whole thing with, unless you're shooting at somebody in a car.
yeah.
There is no reason to have. There is no reason to carry a 45.
It's probably because I got raised old school. My fault. You know what it is? I caught flack when I first started streaming with everybody because I had asked the question. I said, "Isn't 9mm the ladies' caliber?" Because that's actually like what I was raised. You know, like why that? Well, my father would say to me, "May rest in peace." What the fuck you want a 9mm for? What do you want to shoot them twice?
Again, that all goes out the window with the fucking early 1980s.
Yeah.
1970s with a jacketed hollow point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, me personally, if I have to conceal, it's an FN9C with a shorty magazine in it, because at least even with the shorty magazine, at least I'm going to get 12 rounds. Because in an actual firefight, it's he who has to reload the least is the winner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Better
why.
single stack, or you prefer double stack for concealed?
A double stack, man. We live in the 21st century. Why does anything other than a holdout pistol, like a 380 pocket pistol, have a single stack nowadays?
Isn't Smith and Wesson's Bodyguard? Isn't that a double stack?
No, it's a single stock. It's a single stock. I have one. It's my 380 holdout pocket pistol, the one that stays in my pocket. For if I'm in a pistol firefight and I have to reload or run, my primary runs dry, and they're so close that I just need to pull and fire that rather than, because it's faster to pull a new pistol and shoot them with it than it is to fucking reload a standard firearm.
I know
and that one is 7 plus 1, 380. But a 380, you've got to know what you're doing, because you actually have to hit vital areas.
Yeah.
Because it's a little 40 grain bullet, man. It's nothing.
Yeah,
You know,
my two friends swear by his Chiappa Rhino, which is a revolver, so that's a
I mean, yeah, those
talking
are
about
those are-
six.
Oh, I
Those
didn't know.
fuckers-
Does he have a Chiappa?
He's sleeping
Dude,
with the damn thing.
the Chiappa Rhinos are fucking nice because they fire out of the bottom chamber instead of the top. So if you have a 2-inch barrel, okay, it performs like a 4-inch barrel. If you have a 4-inch barrel, it performs like an 8-inch barrel. If you have a fucking 6-inch barrel, full size, tactical fucking Chiappa Rhino, that thing is fucking accurate. Especially if you have it in 357 Magnum. The recoil is reduced. They're basically taking a page from the Mateba, which is the sexiest revolver ever made. But by God, if I'm going to spend $3,000 on one, Chiappa Rhinos.
You're talking about that rings a bell.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Blade Runner, it's Decker's gun.
Okay.
You know. But the Chiappa, well, first of all, the Italians know how to build two things. They know how to build guns because they've been doing it longer than anybody else, and they know how to build
Cars
cars.
that somewhat run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and farm equipment. They know how to build farm equipment. Laugh at me now, but Lamborghini makes some really nice tractors. They just won't let you into the Lamborghini Owners Club driving a Lambo tractor.
Yeah, well,
I don't understand.
That's how
why.
Lamborghini started. They started as a tractor company.
Well, when your tractor costs more than their Avanti, they might get a little pissy. Because tractors aren't cheap, dude. Go look at John Deere's site if you don't believe me.
We have our little one, and it's I'm trying to even think if it's pricey as hell.
I mean, a brand new mid-sized 4-wheel drive John Deere is like $60K.
Yeah, ours was like 35, I think.
And if you're talking like a big ag tractor, you're talking $500,000. So, yeah. So, you know, if you get a silver one and it says Lamborghini on it, you should actually be the president of the local Lambo club, because not only is yours the most expensive, you can crush everybody else's Lambo without ever getting out of first gear.
That's so fucking cool.
I know. Speaking of concealed carries that my friends swear by, Bursa BP9, I think CC variant they call it.
Yeah, it's
These little pistols.
Well, you gotta remember
they're double stacked too.
Yeah, Bursas are they're either copies of Walters, because they're Turkish. Oh, no, are they Turkish, South American? They're copies of Walters or they're copies of Berettas. And Taurus is a copy. Almost everything Taurus makes is a copy of fucking Beretta, or something else. They don't make their own designs because they're South American. Don't buy a Taurus. Tauruses are shit.
Looking it up just now, Bursa's Argentinian.
Yeah, but they're a copy. Yeah, but okay, a lot of see, Turkey. There's Turkish gun manufacturers have a deal with Beretta, and they get all of the old Beretta equipment, and they manufacture off of the Beretta equipment. So,
you know, it's funny you bring up Turkey. I wanted to ask you, what do you feel about the Sabra Mark III, the tank that the Turks are using right now? It's the last iteration of the patent tank hull that they matched up to the Merkava turret. You see,
that's not their main tank. Their main tank is the Leopard.
Oh, they did get the contract with the Leopard, because
everybody is Germany loves to export the Leopard. They love to I mean, there's the Adelaide, which is a modern main battle tank, but it's to the point of it's actually cheaper just to buy the fucking German shit.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that what Poland does half the point? Because they have their space tank or whatever, their futuristic one that I can't remember the name of.
Oh,
they have a bunch of old German ones in their inventory at this point.
Well, yeah, Poland. Well, by old you mean Leopard 2. You know, I mean, I've seen most of the
space tank again.
We are conquering Moscow this time. Shut the fuck up and only see our fucking pennants.
2018, more like 2018. PLO1, that's what they call it.
Yeah, I like to call it "We're conquering Moscow." Fuck you, Putin. Because the Poles are just bold enough to actually do it.
I wouldn't put it past them. If they had the firepower, I definitely they got the heart for it.
Yeah, they have wings for it for when they actually conquer Moscow. You know, Hussar wings they're going to put on the back of the turret. The funny thing is the photo optic camouflage. All you're going to see is the little red and white flag on the aerial, and the Hussar wings as it drives through as the red square.
Nice. You know, part of the thing actually with this hat, part of the sentiment I'm pushing for is I got nothing against Germany, but they're cornering the market on the cutting edge tech, and that's our job. I'd really like to see us back up on #1 again when it comes to R&D. Seriously, man.
Trump's making it possible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is with tanks is we don't tend to export. And first of all, we need a new.
We do. Well, I'm so sick of that Abrams. Don't even get me started.
Well, I mean, the Abrams is a good tank. It's in the A3 configuration though. And the problem, there are problems with the Abrams. And
it's a pig.
Well, all tanks are pigs.
Is it one of those too expensive for what it's worth, though?
Yes. In my opinion, my humble opinion, definitely.
Like the F-22, right? Like it's a great plane. It's just
no. The F-22, that's a fucking chrome-plated turkey. The F-22, look, I don't want to go off on it.
No, the F-22 was the perfect plane. Obama fucked it all up for air superiority. The problem is, Obama was like, we aren't going to sell that to our allies. The cost could have been brought down if we had exported them to Japan, if we had exported them to, interested parties.
Don't say Canada. We can't afford that shit.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are fucking
30 years old F-18s.
Just let the weather take care of the enemy Air Force.
Except the Air Force except the weather doesn't stop the Russians. Or anybody else that would be coming over the poles. Because, let's face it, you can either fly above it and drop a nuke through it, or you have terrain following radar and you can fly through it anyway.
We're at we're at the 5-minute warning right now. And Irv, are you doing after hours?
I will be, yeah. We're going to try and go for 12:30.
All right, so I don't mean to cut you off, Nano. I'm sorry, but this is really good that we can start off with in the after hours is going in again with the F-22 because oh my god, I could sit here and we could go back and forth about the F-22. That's probably actually what we should do to start it off on the after hours because man,
we have some Canadian stuff I want to talk about in after hours. So you're gonna have to bear with.
Of course, it's your after hours. It's your after hours. It's something that the people got to hear about the F-22. And Nano has he's definitely this bro. Nano's got the inside track on this shit, so you guys definitely got to listen to him on this. My opinion of it is I'm gonna agree with him, but I got a few caveats to it. So it's definitely.
Well, I mean, it's better than the fucking F-35 anyway.
Oh my god, yes, yeah, but it's the marketing thing about the F-22 is the problem I have with it.
We were going to be the sole buyer of it, so we bought a couple hundred of them, and then we were bitching about the price per unit, because most of that paying off is the R&D, and if you can get rid of the R&D price by buying more, but it's simple economics. The more you produce, the less the R&D cost is per unit.
Well, the thing was, the F-22 was the first one we designed and built under the new design philosophy. And the new design philosophy that they adopted was, we're not going to sell our shit to anyone else. Everything else that was designed before the F-22 was designed specifically to be resold. That's the thing. They completely ignored the economic model. That's the problem I have with the F-22, because they have built a unit now that it's a black hole for the cash that's been put in it. Like the rest of our units.
Well, I mean, Japan wanted to buy export models. Yeah. That was the problem. We didn't develop an export model when we needed to develop an export model. And exactly. That's the problem. You could have dropped the research and development. Hey, you don't have to fit it with the space age radar. You sell that thing without the radar. They fit their own indigenous radar to it. Israel would have bought it. And if Israel buys it, Saudi Arabia buys it. The difference is Israel puts competent pilots in it, and Saudi Arabia puts fucking turd turkeys that can barely fly.
Good old 6 Day War.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the problem always comes down to, and this is the thing that drives me nuts. It's always whenever the Democrats are in power. This is when they do this shit. Like, I'm pretty sure it was, I don't want to blame it on Clinton's office. It might have actually, it was Clinton with the Tomcats, when they scrapped the Tomcats and cut them up.
No. People don't understand. 30-year-old airframes in world combat are shit. Period.
Sell them to Singapore. That's what I was just going to say.
Just get rid of them. The Tomcat's worthless without a Phoenix. Without its primary weapon system, it is worthless. It's because there's one customer that still uses the Tomcat. It's called Iran, and they can basically drop bombs.
True that. I always go back to Singapore and Philippines. Every time we have something we can sell, I know they'll buy it. Nothing against those folks either, because I love how they kept those bulldogs running for years.
But here's the thing: they would rather buy They don't need the Tomcat. Tomcat's over-engineered. It's a naval aircraft. They'd rather buy our F-16s. They'd rather buy our F-18s. They'd rather buy stuff that's not variable geometry. Variable geometry, as cool as it looks, it's a fucking maintenance nightmare.
Like the F-15.
No, the F-15 is a fixed wing. The variable geometry, the wing folds.
Oh, the wings. You know what? I'm thinking that you're talking about the avionics package.
No, I'm talking about parts in the plane that wear out.
Because I remember that the F-16, my neighbor actually was one of the guys over at Grumman who worked on it.
60-second warning. Oh, wait. That's gone.
Yeah, we hit it. All right, guys, let's really quick go through our shills so we can go hop on with Irv. Time. You got anything cooking?
Well, I have that a beginner's guide, how to ruin your republic, finally coming out soon. You know, the one that I promised in February that I left and then came back to in June before disappearing. That's done-ish. So I just need to record and put that together, which will be fun. And it'll make that Kosovo War and Yugoslavia breakup for Irving.
Nice.
That I promised even longer. I think that was more like, when was that again? That was on a stream months ago.
Yeah.
That still has to happen.
You can ask him in the after hours because he hopped out really quick.
There.
Yeah.
I'll probably send him a message and be like, it's on its way.
All right, definitely. I can't wait to read, and if it's a video, I can't wait to watch it. So definitely. Yeah. All right, cool. Burnside, you got anything to show?
He is muted at this time. He might be on his rounds.
Very true. What about you, Nano? You got anything to show?
Not really, man. I don't have anything to show tonight, so.
All right, cool. Hammer, you've been very, very quiet tonight. I'm guessing that you're just taking it all in.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Anything? You got anything you want to show, brother?
This Wednesday, I'm hosting on the Minions, but you can always catch me at the One Ton Hammer on Twitter.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. And guys, those of you who are not familiar with the Minions, which unless you're living under a fucking rock, I don't know why, definitely tune into the Minions. Me and the rest of what was the former Chaos crew, we considered them like family. Like, literally, you go to stream with them, it's like going to visit relatives. They're the coolest stream on the net, hands down. They don't do drama. It's just a fun time. You're not going to get insulted or hurt by anybody there. They're friendly people. They're good folks, you know. And seriously, it's like visiting your relatives. You definitely got to check out the Minions. So if you're not introduced to them yet, let this Wednesday with Hammer be your introduction. Definitely, it's worth watching, guys. All right. And since Burnside's not back, I'm going to give him a quick shill. And Tara and Irv and Porpoiseful, since they were all here and they left. You guys know the deal with all of them. Irving Twins, the Angry Drunk Canadian. You can follow him on Twitter and YouTube. Burnside is Burnside Bums, the voice of Burnside. He's on Redbubble, and he's on YouTube and Twitter and Gab. Tara Sin is on YouTube, Gab, and Twitter. Porpoiseful Discussion / National Libertarian is also on Gab and Twitter and YouTube. So definitely check out all this stuff. National Libertarian's new channel. He's got a bunch of new things up. He has up a video about 9/11. I definitely would suggest you guys check that one out. It's a worthy watch. You know. As for me myself, you guys know the deal because you tuned into this channel. I am your MC for this evening, Scooby331. I want to thank you guys for sticking it out with me tonight. I haven't been streaming the past couple of weeks. We lost a dog. You know, my dog died a few weeks ago. Then I was in D.C. this last weekend. Then I had 9/11 this week. It's been a very busy and crazy summer for me. A lot of shit going on. You know, it is what it is. But I'm probably going to try to get up those 9/11 memorial videos just because, you know, they just finished remodeling them for 9/11. No one's going to be there, so it'll be nice, intimate. You know, I can show you what it looks like without a whole bunch of tourists there. The week after 9/11, it's usually completely, for lack of a better term, excuse me, dead quiet. So I'm going to go try to film those. There's probably about at least 5 that I can think of off the top of my head I'm going to film. And a few more videos coming out and coming up soon. Going to try to do Columbus Day, cover that in Manhattan, and a couple other things. Any suggestion you guys have? I am off of Twitter again because I'm just so sick of Twitter. Hit me up on Gab, please. If you guys want anything, just write to me and I'll do it for you. So that's pretty much it. Until next time, most likely it will be next Friday unless something comes up. But until next time, for myself and my panel, I am Scooby331. Thank you very much for watching and take care. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.